so many things set in place that hinder us already, and you guys just keep on adding it onto the pile to our community. I don't understand why you guys keep doing that. Only thing I keep seeing is hate. I mean, since 1492, I mean, you guys are set up in organization. I mean, this is a white-run organization. That's what it is. I mean, you guys are the leftover residue of the colonization.
He's free to be put in a cage in Fillmore and San Francisco. He's free to be put in a cage in Roxbury and Boston. Gathering them up from miles around. Keeping the niggles down.
Well, let's discuss what a joke the LCB social equity program really is. In spite of all the glad-handing and hyperbole set forth by people like Ollie Garrett in today's board meeting, as she explained how far the process has come, there are still 0 Black-owned stores in King County where once there were scores of them prior to 502. Worse yet, this is the equity team, folks. Now, they could be the nicest guys in the world, but what can they possibly offer us in terms of actual knowledge of disparate treatment, inclusion, and racism? Next to nothing compared to people in the Black community who have toiled endlessly only to wind up in situations where they are now basically sharecroppers as cannabis workers, attempting to get a cannabis Bill of Rights passed to protect what precious dignity they have remaining. It's disgusting. And it's no better than the infamous white cracker South of days gone by. You know, stuff that my parents dealt with, picking cotton as kids. Jesus. And this is not identity politics, folks. I'll put it in a way so that everyone can understand. If blacks in Washington ran the cannabis market forever and a day, and we were found to have discriminated against, say, white Euro-Italians, be it de facto or de jure, it would then be ridiculous to appoint blacks to the equity department to address the ills. It's the proverbial fox guarding the henhouse routine, right? Right. Well, it's no different here. The pending lawsuit I read from Emerald City Collective versus LCB details de jure discrimination, in my opinion. But when it comes down to the remedy, what do? Appoint some young whitish dudes to address the problem, thereby owning the narrative. It's a complete circle jerk, and in this case, it's not blacks who cause the problem, it's the whites and a handful of chosen house Negroes who caused the problem, and now that same set of people are in charge of telling the story to allegedly fix it. Randy Newman said it best.
Great, terrific. A couple of things. First of all, I have information now that a federal agency may be investigating you shortly for violations pertaining to your use of the record and manipulation of the record. More on that later. But today I'm going to focus on two things. I'm going to focus on the apology that is owed to Cantanafest, the workers, the WSLCB, and UFCW 3000, because of the heavy hand that was put towards them during Cantanafest. Sarah Chernin mentioned this, and she's seconding my concerns that I discovered in my public information request that the LCB was trying to shut down Cantanafest. Now, she said there was a heavy hand, and I looked that up myself, and then subsequent to that, I discovered that part of the rationale for that was that they were allegedly requesting people to bring in samples for sharing and consumption at Cantanafest, which did not happen. And it came to find out that it was actually someone, Cassandra Dean, probably from the Fireline Company, that had reported this. So I'm wondering if your staff had followed up with her as I did, because I discovered that Cantanafest had nothing to do with that. If anyone requested such a thing, it would have come from Cloud9. And Cloud9, of course, are your pet friends that you've forwarded as being successful social equity candidates, when in fact that's not true, because it turns out that they had licenses. One of them, Dennis Turner, had licenses for quite some time, and actually ran one of them into the ground in the Grider case, in which she basically owns the company now. And she alleged that all three of the partners, including Dennis, violated her with unethical practices. So I would expect that you all would apologize to the union and to Cantanafest and everybody involved for that, because it's a great group of people doing great things for the public and cannabis. So I look forward to hearing that apology. Next, I want to come to Ollie Garrett, because recently there was the bromance soliloquy that was offered by Jim McCrae a few weeks ago, in which he basically impugned all black and brown for the way that we approach the board about issues of public concern. And the important thing to know here is that Jim wrote me unsolicited to tell me that there seemed to be some significant anomalies in numbers when looking at Tabor 100 when viewed as trends across the years. And basically, when the starting annual balance of the nonprofit was combined with annual revenue and expenses, the resulting year-end balance did not always reconcile. In some instances, the numbers were off by tens of thousands of dollars. I pulled recent 990s from the IRS site for 17, 18, and 19 and checked versus my spreadsheet. There were discrepancies, not good. So I'm going to have to check my work. And then as Ollie's term on the board ends in August, I think it would be timely to chase this down before she leaves. And then he says, honestly, I don't usually spend hours in the middle of the night compiling into manual from online sources unless I smell blood in the water. I distinctly recall smelling blood that evening. I'm rarely wrong when my numeric fraud detectors start going off. At a minimum, it seems clear that Tabor's bookkeeping has a sloppy bookkeeper involved in keeping or cooking their books. So I would expect there to be an investigation about that. And again, I deserve an apology because, you know, this person that obviously trusts the previous chair, vice versa, a very, very credentialed person, told me this unsolicited, okay? And we've never been out of line at those meetings, except for Sammy Saad. We come with valid concerns, and we never get anywhere with these concerns. And so that's why I'm here today, is to tell you what Jim McCray said. So you either have to accept what he says in general, you can't pick and choose what you like from Jim McCray. Okay, he's a credible source, and that's what he said. So, you know, you didn't accuse him of unlawfully attacking Ollie Garrett, did you? No, and you probably won't. But I'm here to bring these issues to the public because hardly anybody else is talking about them.
Christopher, you have 30 seconds.
You have good people in the community trying to do good things with Cantana Fest, and it should be celebrated and heralded. But instead, you guys try to shut it down. And that type of activity is really not in the public interest. And I'm hoping that Chair Vondroff, that you do better you know, in the coming years or however long your term may be, because the public deserves better. And would you all like to offer that apology now to Cantana Fest and Dubsy?
Christopher, you know we don't respond to questions here, so use your remaining time to finish up.
Christopher, that's your time.
Sometimes you do, though. It's very selective. Thank you, though. Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Yeah.
When in dumb, come out dumb too. Hustling around Atlanta in their alligator shoes. Getting drunk every weekend at the barbecue. And they're keeping the niggas down. We're